I am joined with Bryan Martin from Montreal. You're out in Montreal today, Bryan?
Yeah, I'm sitting here in the shop of the sound recording department at McGill University.
Fantastic. And you just finished teaching a class for the year?
Yeah, it was the last day of classes for the electroacoustics course.
Fantastic. It sounds like exactly the type of thing some of our AES members would be interested in hearing about.
It's actually a really good course. It has a kind of a very mysterious name, electroacoustics, but what it is that all the candidates for the masters in sound recording have what's called a qualifying year, and it's grueling because it's 24 credits and it's a broad range of classes because it's both science and art, right? So electroacoustics, sorry, I have a cold, deals with electroacoustical transducers like microphones, loudspeakers, also room acoustics, acoustic design, grounding and shielding, and impedance.
My
So,
favorite. Big fan of
so
grounding and shielding.
yeah, me too. So, and interconnectivity. So obviously, it's also a very dense course, and these kids are mainly musicians.
Uh,
So we're throwing them in and expecting quite a lot of them to absorb. But one thing that I do stress when they're freaking out, because they always freak out in the middle of the semester, um, is that because they're a lot of kids. They're very result driven.
right.
So
They're chasing the grade.
they're chasing the grade, and
Yeah.
they're not getting the grades they're used to because they're out of their element, and they're having a meltdown. And I say to them, well, are you learning stuff? And they go, I'm learning more than any other course I have. I'm like, okay. I said, so I have to give the university a number to tell them how you're doing. I said, that also tells me how you're doing. I said, but your reason you're here is to learn something. And if you feel you're learning more than the other courses, I said, the number will take care of itself. So don't worry
Exactly,
about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we are lucky to have you come present in April about one of the most famous compressors of all time. Could you tell us a little bit about how you went down the rabbit hole of the LA2A compressor? I,
Sure. I went down the rabbit hole the first time when I decided to build one.
like a kit, or you built one from
Oh no,
scratch?
no, no, no! Kits are for babies. This, I'm insane. No, I built one from scratch, like drilling holes in metal.
Right, right,
So from the schematic. So first thing I remember, it was very difficult to find the right schematic.
right, because
Um,
there's multiple revisions of it.
Yeah, and at that point, this was like mid '90s, and I think, but I mean, I knew that like a lot of my buddies were like the techs at Sterling Sound and various recording studios in New York, so we got to a good schematic, and so it's in my presentation. So I built one, and it works. It's an LA2A. It's a great sounding piece of equipment, but another another reason why I really like that unit is because it's very simple.
Right. It's a primitive. Would you consider the LA2A to be an audio primitive?
I don't think it's primitive. There's a bunch of people crashing in here.
Hey, no worries. Uh, but in terms of optical compression, it
George, do me
is.
a favor. Cameo by George Massenberg. Just say, this for Audio Engineering Site Toronto.
Yeah.
Just say,
Anthony,
Hello.
Anthony, do you know this guy, Bryan?
I've heard of this guy. Yes.
Why are you talking to him?
that's my rousing endorsement from George. There you go.
Fantastic. Well, maybe the next one will be with you.
I'm doing an interview.
Yeah, okay, keep going.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
So I would say maybe it's primitive, and maybe I'm a big fan of the sharp rock technology
What do you mean by that?
because you have the opto unit, which is it's a light sensor, and it's very simple. So the great thing is you have a transformer in the input, so you have great impedance matching. You have a simple gain reduction that's very effective, and then you have gain makeup.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how can it sound bad?
Well, and that's the thing I think we're all going to look forward to. I appreciate you taking the time to give us this little teaser about your presentation, and I hope some of our members really benefit from what you're about to offer us.
Well, I'm good. I'm going to talk about both the hardware and software versions and the few software iterations because I did test them. So I'm going to give a historical overview of the LA2A itself, and then we're going to talk about the current state of the plugins and the hardware. So
Perfect.
hopefully it'll it's not just, hey, if you don't have one, you can't benefit.
Well, thanks, Bryan. I appreciate your time.
Okay, Anthony, thanks a lot.
Okay.